Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for this episode 10 here on BallySpring with me, Farmer Murphy. Well, as you can see, first day of September, rainy day here to kick it off. But at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you over to future Farmer Murphy, and he's going to go over the scorecard for the past month, explain where the money came from, and then I'll come back and explain where it went. So I'll see you in a minute. Well, thank you, past Farmer Murphy. As you can see, we are at 131 completed contracts so far in the challenge. We had a contract income for August of 218,461, very respectable. Our bale sales though were down quite a bit, only at 59,470, and this is because we targeted silage contracts primarily, and we kept all those bales. Collectibles were no change there. We produced now a grand total of 1,832 bales, almost 500 bales on the month. So that just highlights the efficiency of our new equipment. Now I added a couple more rows here. Milk sales. We had 92,270 in milk sales. This was after filling up the dairy. I don't imagine this number will hold going forward just because we had been saving our milk for a little while. So I've included this as a line item because this will be a variable number, but we should see it increase a little bit month over month as our cows increase. Product sales was 17,629, and this was right now only our fertilizer, and past Farmer Murphy will explain more about that, but in the future it'll include all our production sales. Now I didn't add a line for the BGA. The BGA for August was 180,000, and that should hold steady month after month. There should be no change in that number as long as I keep it topped up. It'll only increase a little bit once I'm able to put sugar beets in it, so I'll update you on that number once we get to that point. But I just didn't include it because it was kind of like going to be a baseline number going forward of 180K. And so that brought us to a balance of the month for 86,254. So now I'll turn it back over to past Farmer Murphy and explain where all the money went. So we'll catch up with you next month. Well, now that that nonsense is out of the way, let's take a look at where some of that money went. But first, I'll share another piece of data with you. I'm at over 160 hours on this map, and it's year 1 of a year 5 challenge. And the workload is not going to get less. It's only going to increase as the years go on, as we get more animals to look after. And I'm estimating that I'll be somewhere between 800 and 1,000 hours on this map by the time I'm finished with this challenge. I'm going to have to thank GAMINGJOY for that. It's not a challenge. This is a quest. It's actually going to blow the doors off my previous record. In FS19, I spent, I believe it was 468 hours on Alien Jim's Washoe map, and that held the record. But as close as I ever came to that on some other maps was around the 300-hour mark, but we're definitely going to blow the doors off it by the time we get done with this challenge. So we are up here at our new home base, and I am looking out my front door with no fence, as you can see. So I did buy this field in front. But I didn't buy it to get rid of the fence. That was just a perk. If we take a look at the map here, I ended up buying fields 107, 106, and 105 in that order. And like I said, getting rid of that fence, that was a perk. The reason I bought these fields, if we go look at the precision farming map, we can see up here is all loam. So we're getting much better yields up here off of these fields than we are off the fields down here where it's loamy sand. So that's why I targeted these fields here to maximize our yields. But there were some mistakes made, and one of them I didn't even notice until I started prepping to record this. Like I said, I bought 107, 106, and then as soon as I had the money, I bought 105. After I bought it and went up there, I actually took the big M up there to mow the grass and realized I'd done a contract on that field. I'd already taken the grass off. And here I was thinking I was going to add to our bale count. No, no. And now I could have sold it and bought 109 here across the road, which did have grass in it, but I didn't think that was in the spirit of the challenge. I made the mistake, so I just prepped the field, and we'll get the bales off it next time. It's really not a big deal. But when I was looking at the map prepping, I realized I forgot to cut field 58. I never did cut that one. So I missed that one last month. And I still have 64 to do. I had actually purposely left that one so I could show prepping a grass field to you guys. But so I've got 64 and 58, which become relevant when we start talking about the bale counts when we get down to the other farm. So we'll go into that more later. Anyway, so I took this fence out, and I will admit I did take some hedging out here just to join this field area back here. It's not really a field, but it's a plot, and so I did take some hedging out here just to make it convenient. And if we run back here, this was kind of a bare patch. I seeded some grass, but it didn't really seed evenly. I'm not quite sure why, so I have to do some fixing up there. I was doing lots of trips with our slurry tank. I prepped all our fields. I fertilized them all with our slurry because we had piles of it, and it was obvious we had more than what the BGA was going to process. So I ended up putting an underground slurry tank in here. So in conditions like this or in the evenings, I'd haul slurry up. But I did end up, the only piece of equipment I changed out because it wasn't working quite as well as I hoped for me was the slurry tanker, and I put this tanker in. Now, I know I did say when I did testing, and this actually is one of the models I tested, that I was having a little issue getting in and out of fields with it. But I realized, you know, I was only going into my grass fields, and I could modify it to make sure I could get in, because this is an 18,000 liter tanker versus the other one we had was a shoot, I forgot now. 13,000. That's what it was. 13,000 liter. I was doing lots of back and forth. That's why I ended up putting this underground tank so I could haul off daylight hours. But the other thing was this one has just a splash plate and a 15-meter spread width. And the other tanker had that drip bar, as you may recall. And it was just a nuisance getting out near the edge of the fields with that. So I decided to go one with a splash plate, so it was just easy to get right to the edge of the fields. And it's also for that reason that I decided to stay with solid fertilizer. I wanted to go to liquid. I wanted to use the little Star sprayer. It's kind of a nostalgic little sprayer for me from FS19. I thought it'd be perfect on this map. But I just didn't want to deal with the boom getting hooked in the hedges, so I'm just going to stick with solid fertilizer. One other thing I did up here is there was a shed sitting right here, very similar to this, not very handy for me, that I took out because I wanted to put in this. This is actually GAMINGJOY's field refill silo. And it has an old rusty looking one I thought really fit good on the farm. So this is a buy point basically. I put it up here almost just exclusively for lime, and it actually, although it does have a discount from base game prices, I can still buy lime cheaper with some other big bags I have installed. Not a whole lot, but a little bit, so it really doesn't save money. It's just for the convenience of not having trucked all the way across the map to the store to get lime. So I put it as a lime buying station. Now he also has one of these identical to this, but it's a silo. And I want to put that in, and I'm going to stick it right here, but I'm going to put fertilizer in it, which will make more sense when we get down to the BGA. So I'll save that for later. We have all the hay bales that we need for our sheep for the winter, so that's good. As future farmer Murphy said, we didn't sell very many bales last month. We kept almost all of them. So I think that is it from, and we did have 5 new bursts this month, 5 sheep, 5 lambs. So that was the only new animals on the farm. And I think that's it for up here. So I will meet you down at the cow farm and we'll carry on from there. See you in a bit. Okay, so we're down here at our bale storage, and if we take a look, we are at 207 bales of either grass fermenting to silage or silage. And from the calculations, we need this to be full to get through the winter. We need, it's 400 bales, 410 bales actually for the BGA to run for a year. So for the winter, we need 200 there. And I figure we need about 150 for the cows. So that's 350, and that's what this holds. Now, the good news is the BJ, that's a finite number of bales, but the cows are going to be an ever increasing number of bales, so it'll come to the point where this will not hold enough bales for us for the winter. But that's a problem for another day. Anyway, so we've got 60 bales off our fields down here and 75 bales off the fields near the sheep farm. And then there were 3 fields that weren't included in that. The one field I intentionally left down here, 64 I think it was. The field I missed, 58, and then the field I bought that had no grass in it. So, but we'll get one cut off those fields, so we should get 200 bales, more than enough to fill this up. So we should be in good shape there, but we have to keep in mind we need to feed the BGA and the cows between now and winter. So you know, we're going to continue to be doing silage contracts, and I don't think we'll be selling very many silage bales here in the future. So, and lots of grass work still in my future, I'm afraid. And we're going to need more land, because if we have right now a demand of 700 bales a year, and our fields, all 3 cuts are going to produce 600, you can see we're still short. So we're going to need more land yet. One piece of equipment I did change out, I made a swap, and this was solely due to region, is I put this fertilizer spreader in here. We had an Amazon one before, which is a South American brand. This is, what is it, a Sulky, and it's actually a French fertilizer spreader. I just thought it was more appropriate to the region than a South American one. It cost us just, you know, a little bit, like $1,000 or $1,500 or something to make that exchange, but that is the only changes down here. Yeah, other than that, like all the equipment I'm really happy with. And like I said, I was happy with that slurry tanker. It just turned out it was just too small for our operation. All right, next stop, I'll meet you down at the shop. See you there. Well, I'm down here at the shop, and you can see I have all our haying equipment staged here. That's just because I was down in this area, so I washed, repaired, and fueled everything up for the start of the new month and just left it sit down here. But there's one new addition you will see, and there's this little old Massey I bought, a 698, and I got it just for the pure convenience of not having to swap out the baling tractor to go and grab the tedder to make hay. So it just simply runs this tedder, does a fantastic job. I'm really glad I did it. It's a really nice little mod. It's about 80, I can't remember if it's between 80 and 90 horsepower, something like that. It just works fantastic, and it's, you know, just a lot more convenient to always have the tedder hooked to it. One thing I am going to change, though, I think, is, although this works brilliantly, pulling the trailer with the telehandler, especially because it's got four-wheel steer, excellent for getting in the fields and that, but it just seems a little odd to be running around the map pulling a trailer with a telehandler to me. So eventually I'd like to get a trailer, a tractor and a front loader in here. Yeah, because it just seems more proper. Oh, there's some good English for you. Yeah, for no other reason. And the fact that it will be a little bit more convenient to have the telehandler back at the farm for feeding the animals with, so I don't have to run it back and forth. So ideally it'd be nice to end up at some point with a telehandler at each farm. So save time shuttling around the map. But all this equipment worked excellent. Really pleased. Had no issue getting the Big M in any of the fields. Only one field I had to back in like I did with the beet harvester, as you may recall. Other than that, I've had no problems with it at all. All of these, I don't think that, well, we'll just jump in. Yeah, I don't think it's got quite, no, it's at 7 hours, but this tractor, this Valtra, the smaller one, and the larger Valtra are both over 10 hours, and the telehandler is at 9.5 hours or something like that. So we put a lot of hours on our equipment. Okay, one more stop and we're done with this. I'll meet you at the BGA. The last thing to share with you is I put this production in, and what it does is it takes digestate and dries it down to solid fertilizer. So I have the digestate from the BGA distributing directly to it, and like I said, we're going to use solid fertilizer for our crop fields, and we are selling the excess. Now what I had to do is, although if we take a look here at the sell points, and if we look at fertilizer, should be coming up here pretty quick. There are 2 sell points, actually 3 sell points on the map that say they take fertilizer. I went and tried them and none of them would accept it. So I put my own sell anything in here so I could sell it off, because I think it's just an error with the map. It seems to me obvious that the author had intended you to be able to sell fertilizer, but you just can't. So I just stuck this in here. I put it here not so much out of convenience, but just needed some land that I owned that I could put it on that wasn't arable land, and I didn't have a whole lot of options there. So we are, and as Farmer Murphy mentioned, or future Farmer Murphy, we are selling some fertilizer, and we did sell a little bit. And the rest of the slurry that we are not running through the BGA, we're spreading on our grass fields. At some point, we'll probably have more slurry than we can use on our grass fields, and we may need to look at doing something else, but for now, this works. The other nice thing about it is it takes no other inputs, so I don't have to worry about filling anything else up like I would if I had used a different type of production. So anyways, I know that was rather quick, but I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of time on that, so I was trying to rip through it as fast as I could so we could get on to some farming. But first, we need this darn rain to stop. So I will run back to the shop here, and I'm going to grab our baler, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bale up the straw on our last arable field. And it's got a pretty good hill on it. It'll really show off that baler at work, so I thought we'd show that. And then the field prep I'll probably do off camera. It's a repeat of what I showed last time. And then we are going to cut the grass in one of those fields. I'll get it baled up, and then I'll show prepping grass field, because I haven't, although it's really not much different than a arable field, haven't showed it, so we'll show that. So that's the plans for the farming for this episode. So I'll get this moved up to the other farm, and then we'll sit out the rain, and I'll bring you back in when we're ready to bale. So see you then. Well, the rain has stopped, so we can proceed with baling up our straw here. Now I get to show you one of my favorite things about this baler, particularly on this map, the bale and turner. I know most of you probably have already seen it, but just in case you haven't, prior to using this baler, if I would have done this field using round bales, I would have either had to, run them down and drop them at the bottom of the field. Look at that. Stays right where you left it. Or I could have just dropped them off, let them roll down, and collect them out of the hedge. Either way, time-consuming venture. I pretty much don't do many round bales if I don't have a baler that has the bale and turner on it, unless it's on very flat ground. But even with the fast bale feature, I think the biggest time saver is the bale and turner here, and being able to just drop the bales wherever you're at. Because I have run a lot of bales down to the end of the field, so silage bales and such, doing contracts, and I've had enough. But speaking of silage, I forgot to mention, I meant to when we were talking at the BGA, um, I'm not going to rely solely on grass silage for our cows and BGA. I am going to make some corn silage and put into service uh, some of the silage clamps that the author put around the map. Because he placed them all, it kind of, the idea of the challenge is we got to make use of them, so we are definitely going to do that. But the only reason I haven't so far is we didn't have any fields on our farm that came with corn already pre-planted, and of course up until just now we haven't been able to plant our own crops, and it's not the season for corn, so we'll have to wait till next spring. But this time next year we should be doing some corn foraging, I hope. But of course that means we need more arable fields, because right now we currently only have the two. So that leads me to one of my goals for this month is I'd like to buy the pig farm. It's about 320,000 and it comes with 3 grass fields, which we can definitely use, and 1 fairly good sized arable field, which we also could use. So that's kind of one of my goals if I can get enough contracting in and with our BGA income and of course our fertilizer income, which I really think should be a doable thing. But we also need to get the spinner repurchased here pretty quick, because wool is piling up from our sheeps, and we just need to get that processing started, because that's a fairly slow production too. But so that's the other thing that's kind of on my radar to get accomplished this month if possible. I think we've seen enough of that from the outside. I think we can go back to in-cab view. This is a job that's pretty easily done in cab. Boy, this tractor baler combination has just worked excellent. This tractor has a really nice tight turning circle, and it's got lots of horsepower. I've had no issues running up and down the hills so far on any of the hilly fields I've had to do baling on. It's just worked great. Very, very pleased. We'll probably end up with another one of these exact tractors on our farm, I imagine, in the future. So I think we're going to put barley in this field. Barley we can use to feed our pigs, and of course we need the straw. I don't think there's going to be enough straw off of this field to keep our cows bedded for the year, so we'll likely have to buy some straw. Our cows right now are not currently producing as much manure as what our BGA can process in a day. We're falling just ever so slightly behind, probably about 1,000 liters, I'd say. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. We have a bit of a head start obviously on that, but we're down to 18,000 liters in our clamp right now. So we can go about 18 days, by my calculations, then before we stop having enough manure to keep the clamp running full time. So, but our cows are always maturing, and as they mature, they create more manure. So if it gets to a point where I think I have to, I'll get a stock trailer and I'll move some of the cows from our pasture into that pen just to shore that up. They're definitely keeping ahead on the slurry. The biggest thing that we've been doing is we've been using a pile of slurry on our grass fields, and but that's just about come to an end, so they'll have time to stock back up again. but going forward, I know it won't be an issue because as we get more cows, of course, we get more slurry, and we're definitely going to get more cows. Anyways, I think I will carry on here. I want to leave some time to prep that grass field. This field prep on here I will do off camera, just because we did all of that last episode, but we didn't do a grass field. So I'll catch up with you there. See you then. Okay, so we're all set now to prep this field. So I obviously mowed it and picked the grass up. So the first two steps, which are mulching and liming, are the same exact process obviously as our crop fields. And we're using our larger Veltra, the Q series, for this work. For all the field work, that's the tractor I use. It's the N series is the smaller one we use on the baler. So I'm just going to show a short clip of the mulching and liming, because we are running down on time here for this episode, so that we can show off the new slurry tank and the slurry process, which we haven't shown at all. So sit back and enjoy. I don't even think I'll probably put music to it. It's going to be so short. We'll just do a little montage here, and yeah, we'll get on to the slurring. Alright, so we are ready to show our slurry tanker in action here. So I've got automatic application rate turned on, and our crop sensors on in our tractor. I've noticed on some of our fields, our grass fields, that our yield isn't as good as it could be, and the only way for us to fix that is to reseed the fields so that we can roll them and do the proper cultivation methods. So we may start doing that. Maybe every cut we do, we'll take one field and rework it, and to maximize its environmental score and its yield. But this tanker works pretty good, pretty decent size. Just 18,500 liters. But the fact that it This uses a splash plate, a lot easier to use on these fields. Sorry about the trees. Just kind of run out of fingers in those situations to get everything done that needs to be done. Looks like we'll get this field with one tanker load. That's all right. We have made a pretty good dent in our slurry. No doubt about that. But like I said, not that we don't currently have an endless supply, but I don't think we'll ever run into an issue where we won't have enough to do our grass fields, I don't think. Maybe this next cut here, because we're not going to have any more cows. Sorry, any more new bursts, I don't think, before the next cut. But also, it's the last one before winter, so we can do whatever grass fields we can in the fall, and the rest we can do in the spring. Because this tanker has about twice the spread width our first one had. Really helps keep things. Excuse me again, moving along. I'm battling with a little bit of a cold, so got that dreaded cough again. And there we go. And see, it didn't take that long. So see, we only have a yield of 75% out of 80 maximum, again, just because of the soil type. But if we were to rework this field and reseed it, we'd get that up to the full 80. But like I said, we certainly don't have the bandwidth to do them all at once, but we could tackle them kind of one at a time. But I think I'll leave you there. I'll just tidy up these couple little places that I missed off camera. But we are out of time for this episode. I believe we are just a little bit over. I'll see if I can't trim some of that out. But anyways, until next month, I will be prepping our other grass field that I missed, and also our crop field, and putting barley in there, and then it'll be back on the contract. So I will see you next month and let you know how we made out. And until then, if you're still with me, really appreciate you watching. If you found it entertaining or informative in any way, encourage you to hit that like and subscribe button. Also feel free to comment if you wish. If you want to know when other content like this lands, hit the old notification bell. But until next time, this is Farmer Murphy, signing off.